Hey guys, sorry it's been a little bit. Had a little progress today on the car. Did go ahead and I got the manual rack in the car. As you can see, it's finally. Did run into some issues with it though. Um, Trying to get that rag joint there back together. One of the problems I had was that new flange. There's a cross bolt that goes in to the part that goes onto the manual rack, and I could not get that bolt back in along with the two bolts that connect the flange. I'll go ahead and I'll put a picture of that so you guys can see it. So I'm gonna have to call LMRC and see what they can do to fix that. As you can see, that's supposed to be in the other one, and you can see how they left plenty of room for the bolts on the flanges to go in, plus this tightening bolt to go into the spline to hold that spline on nice and tight. But for some reason on this new one, they didn't leave that kind of room, so it was not an easy thing. I went ahead and I took the radiator out. I've got the new radiator sitting back here. I had to spend a little money though. I went ahead and got a larger hold down for it. That's this piece here. That'll be going on a little later once I get it back on. So the budget went up a little more, unfortunately. I also bought a pair of gaskets for the valve covers because they were leaking a little bit. I don't know if you can see it here, but right in this area they were leaking pretty decent. The headers, that's another issue. I'm probably going to hold off putting the long tubes in there. I'm probably just going to go ahead and put the shorties back in for now. The only way I can see, I even tried removing, when I had this out, the steering linkage. I still didn't have enough room to get the long tube headers in there, and it's the same issue on this side. It's really tight. I think the only way I'm going to be able to do it is I'm going to actually have to raise the engine up or pull it out altogether and then put the headers in that way. Either way, it's a lot of work. I don't currently have a cherry picker. I had one before. Again, I sold it when we were moving, so we didn't have to store it. So I'm gonna have to get another one if I want to put those long tube headers on. But I think for now I'll just go ahead and put the shorties back in it just to get the car back down and running. And then later on, when I got a little more money, I'll get the cherry picker and raise the engine up. We'll see if we can just raise the engine up. I'll just unbolt it from the motor mounts. Same with the transmission. I'll unbolt that from its mount and see if I can get it to raise a little bit, just enough to get those headers in there. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I'm not really sure, but that's where we're at right now. Like I said, had a hard time getting that manual rack to want to go in just right. I also ended up buying a different set of bushings. The ones I bought, they made it seem like in the advertisement they were replacement bushings, like it was a complete kit, and they weren't. They didn't have the sleeves for the bolt to ride in. The polyurethane ones I bought. So I ended up buying original OEM style with just the rubber, and those worked. They're in there now, and that seems to be working just fine. But it's a little disappointed there. I talked to LMRC about it. They were kind of baffled, and then they went to their purchasing tech advisor, and he told them, yeah, I had to reuse the originals that were in the power steering rack, but those were in there pretty tight. I wasn't getting them out. I tried. I don't have a hydraulic press here in my garage, so I had nothing to press them out with. So for all the hassle, it was just better. It was like $24 for a set of OEM style bushings with the sleeves So I just went ahead and went that route. It was a lot easier. But it's in. Uh, Again, later on, once I get this car on the road, I'm going to have to go and have the front end aligned. But I also got to find out if it's safe to run that spline flange without having that bolt in there, because the way it is right now, unless there's a replacement bolt that's skinnier that can get by the flange bolts, I really don't know what to do about that. It went on really tight. I had to use the hammer to, just slowly tap it on. So it's really tight. So maybe it's designed not to. I don't know. I'll call LMRC tomorrow and ask. But it's kind of irritating. It's a $50 part. You would think that it would be just as good, if not better, than the OEM. And in my opinion, it really isn't. But we'll see what they have to say. I wasn't super impressed with them when it came to the polyurethane bushings that I ordered for the rack. Like I said, I ended up just going with OEM style ones, and those were a lot better. So anyways, yeah, that's where we're at, guys. I wish I had better news. Wish the headers were in, but sometimes you get a little ahead of yourself, and I guess that's what I did. So, all right, later.